Tonight, in our coverage, the harrowing ordeal of a Canadian woman handcuffed and detained by U.S. border officials for 11 days. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I am Ahmed Ramadan. Mark Carney has officially been sworn in as Canada's 24th Prime Minister, succeeding Justin Trudeau during a ceremony at Rideau Hall in Ottawa. The ceremony was presided over by Governor-General Mary Simon. Carney immediately unveiled a new streamlined cabinet of 23 ministers, significantly smaller than Trudeau's previous cabinet of 39. 18 ministers from the former government are not returning, either due to personal decisions or Carney's reshuffling. Notable departures include Jean-Yves Duclos, Karina Gould, and Mark Holland. Chrystia Freeland, once Deputy Prime Minister, has been reassigned to a lesser role, and Carney has eliminated the Deputy Prime Minister position altogether. Some continuity remains, with Melanie Joly staying on as Foreign Affairs Minister and Jonathan Wilkinson retaining Natural Resources. François-Philippe Champagne has been promoted to Finance Minister, and Anita Anand takes over as Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. Though Carney did not serve in Trudeau's cabinet, he aims to present a fresh leadership approach. However, his cabinet, despite being smaller, lacks some representation from provinces such as Alberta and Saskatchewan. The Conservative Party has criticized Carney's selections, arguing that the new cabinet is simply a continuation of Trudeau's government. Ontario's Premier Doug Ford, alongside federal officials, has wrapped up a key trade meeting in Washington with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Ford describes the meeting as productive, saying the temperature is coming down after weeks of trade war tensions between the two countries. President Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods has seen Canada retaliate with $60 billion in levies on American products. Despite these tensions, Ford calls the meetings one of the best he's ever had, confirming plans for another round of talks next week. However, President Trump remains firm on tariffs, falsely claiming the U.S. subsidized Canada by $200 billion annually. Finance Minister Dominique LeBlanc and Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne also participated in the talks. They have urged the U.S. to lift steel and aluminum tariffs, emphasizing their impact on workers and businesses. While no firm agreements were reached, officials remain optimistic about the ongoing talks. As of now, there are no immediate plans to renegotiate the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. Canada has taken the United States to the World Trade Organization over new import duties on steel and aluminum. The request for dispute consultations was sent to World Trade Organization members yesterday. Canada says the duties violate trade rules. Canada argues that they breached the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade of 1994. The new tariffs took effect on Wednesday. U.S. and Israeli sources have confirmed the two countries are discussing the possibility of displacing Palestinians from Gaza to Sudan, Somalia, and Somaliland. Reports say officials from Sudan have rejected these talks. However, officials from Somalia and Somaliland claim they are unaware of such discussions. This comes as the sources have confirmed the outreach to both Somalia and Somaliland, with Israel taking the lead in the talks. The move follows a proposal from U.S. President Donald Trump about forcibly relocating Palestinians, which is widely condemned as ethnic cleansing. The discussions between the U.S. and the East African governments began last month following Trump's remarks. Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has mentioned Israel's plans to create an immigration department within its Ministry of Defense to help facilitate the relocation of Palestinians. Tamer Karmout, a professor at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies, calls the forced displacement of Palestinians a red line that should not be crossed. Karmout is urging the international community to condemn any such actions. Reports suggest that, in exchange for accepting Palestinians, these countries might be offered financial, diplomatic, or security incentives. The U.S. has also discussed offering Somaliland international recognition, a priority for its president, in exchange for cooperation on this matter. Somali officials have expressed confusion about why they would host Palestinians, given the country's strong support for Palestinian self-rule. Sudan's government, too, has reportedly rejected the idea after initial discussions, which included offers of military assistance and support for post-war reconstruction. There has been no official response from the US or Israel regarding these reports. Gulf funds, including those from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, have backed Jared Kushner's investment firm Affinity Partners. This firm is now the largest shareholder in Phoenix Financial, an Israeli company tied to businesses operating in illegal settlements. Kushner is a former White House advisor and son-in-law of U.S. President Donald Trump. He has raised billions from Gulf sovereign wealth funds. Affinity Partners holds nearly 10% of Phoenix, which has investments in businesses in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the occupied Golan Heights. These areas are deemed illegal under international law. The UN has blacklisted firms profiting from settlements. Despite Gulf nations publicly opposing settlement expansion, their financial links to Phoenix have raised concerns about indirect support for Israel's occupation. Kushner is known for his role in the Abraham Accords, which led to 3 Gulf states developing diplomatic ties with Israel. He has shown strong confidence in Israel, and Affinity's profits from Phoenix have grown since the initial investment. Palestinian rights groups are calling on Gulf states to stop investments that may aid settlement growth. The UN is expected to update its blacklist later this year. Reports say the United States is set to reduce military aid to Egypt due to disagreements over Gaza. Egypt opposes President Trump's proposal to move Palestinians out of Gaza to neighboring countries, aiming to create what he calls a Riviera of the Middle East. An Egyptian diplomat in Washington says while the exact scale of the aid cuts is unclear, it could take effect next year. Trump had previously threatened to stop aid to Egypt and Jordan if they refused to accept displaced Palestinians. In contrast, Egypt, supported by the Arab League, has proposed a $53 billion plan to rebuild Gaza without displacing its people. Trump's plan has faced global condemnation, with critics calling it ethnic cleansing and a violation of international law. The U.S. currently provides Egypt around $2.1 billion in annual aid. The figure includes $1.3 billion for military support, which covers weapons and training. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund reports the ongoing conflict in Sudan has left over 12 million people at risk of widespread sexual violence. As the war approaches its second year, women, girls, and even men and boys face escalating dangers. UNICEF chief Catherine Russell reports an 80% rise in sexual violence cases in the past year. There were 221 cases of child rape last year alone. 16 of these cases involved children under 5 and 4 involved babies under 1. 16 of these cases involved children under 5 and 4 involved babies under 1. The war between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces has claimed tens of thousands of lives and displaced more than 12 million people. Over 16 million children are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance. This week, 5 children under 6 were killed in North Darfur by the Rapid Support Forces. Doctors Without Borders condemned the UN's ceasefire calls as hollow. They are urging the international community for real action. Aid groups stress that civilians are trapped, deprived of food, healthcare, and safety. A shocking border incident has sparked a warning for travelers heading to the U.S. after a Canadian woman was detained for 11 days earlier this month. Jasmine Mooney, a Vancouver native, was detained by U.S. border officials at the San Diego border after attempting to reapply to her work visa. Mooney, who runs a water health drink company, was seeking a specific TN visa issued to Canadian and Mexican citizens in certain professional jobs. Mooney had moved to Los Angeles in the summer of 2024 on a 3-year work visa, but it was unexpectedly revoked in November. She attempted to reapply for Mexico but was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Mooney claims, ICE agents criticized her for not having proper letterhead on her paperwork. Mooney's mother says she was held for 3 days, handcuffed and in chains. She was then transferred to a detention center in San Diego and later moved to Arizona. Mooney says while in detention, she had to sleep on a mat without basic comforts like a blanket or pillow. She reports of other women who had been detained for weeks without updates on their status. Jasmine will be transferred to Tijuana, then flown to Vancouver. British Columbia Premier David Eby and Yukon Premier Ranj Pillai have voiced concern, calling for fair treatment of Canadians in the US. And now, for some special news for those living in the GTA. There are not one, but two separate events taking place in March. So mark your calendars and be sure to attend with your family, neighbors, and friends. The GTA Ramadan Festival presents Ronaki Ramadan, a special weekend of Ramadan celebration. Note the place and time on your screens. The event will be held on Saturday and Sunday, March 15 and 16 at Red Rose Convention Center, Mississauga. Special highlights include free gift hampers for those first 200 families, 3,000 free giveaways. And hold your breath, there is a free diamond ring in the mix as well. The event will be open from 12 noon to suhoor with loads of sensational halal delicacies to enjoy, a special children's segment called the Kids Story Time, and a Nat and Nasheed competition for you to showcase your talent. And remember, entry is free on both days, so see you there inshallah. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News Canada. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV.